I am Casey Grosvenor, and this is my first time presenting at FDRS, but it is actually my fourth time attending. And if you would have asked me 2 weeks ago if I would ever be presenting at FDRS, I would have told you no. I've never offered to speak on the stage. But when Cheyenne reached out to me just over a week ago and told me I need to fill the spot that should have been filled by Patty Cornute, there was no way that I couldn't tell Cheyenne no. I absolutely couldn't. I cannot fill Patty's shoes ever. I couldn't dream to. But I turned in my slides on Saturday, or I finished my slides Saturday morning, and Patty passed later Saturday. And I asked, do I need to change my slides, or do we need to do something differently to recognize Patty, who is very dear to me? And she said, let's keep it exactly as it is. So I am going to present exactly what I intended to present, which was very much to recognize the influence Patty has had in my journey and how I am thriving with lipedema today. I have nothing to disclose, and this is the first slide that was in my presentation. Patty was planning to be here today to talk to you about a motto for healing, and I think all of you know I'm going to be emotional. There's no way to not be emotional. But the power of all or something, which was a motto that she preached to us very regularly, has impacted every single part of my journey since my diagnosis 4 years ago. There are so many pictures I have on this slide. The top one is from the first time I saw Patty at FDRS, I believe in Cleveland. And I wanted to wear my shirt today, but I've changed a little bit since the last time I wore it. But I wore this as part of Patty's presentation the first time that I got to meet her in person after building a friendship with her online for more than a year. We had a lot of happy memories at these conferences, particularly in Atlanta, getting to spend time with her and with Bob and with her beautiful daughter, Noelle. I love them dearly, every one of them, and FDRS is not the same without Patty here, but Patty is here with us. Last night, I was reading through texts with Patty just from the beginning of our friendship. And I was presenting to the Lipedema Foundation as an invited guest at one of their conferences about my lipedema journey. And I'd been texting back and forth with Patty, and she's like, just know that I'm here with you in spirit. And I know that Patty is here with me in spirit today. She's here with all of us, and her message does not end with her passing. Her message is only going to get stronger, and we're all here to bring that message. So I'm going to take a little bit of time today to walk each of you through 13 of the tips and things that I use to thrive with lipedema. Before I do that, I want to introduce you to my amazing family. This is my husband, Bruce. We've been together 25 years. He has watched me through every single phase of my journey. And my beautiful daughters, Ella and Haley, who are the reason that I am working every day of my life to thrive with lipedema. I'm not going to go way deep into my journey with lipedema. If anyone wants to read my story, I've definitely shared it on my blog, but I'll point out a few things. I was diagnosed 4 years ago with stage 2 lipedema. I'm no stranger to complicated medical conditions. You see me down there in the corner with my first heart monitor. I think the first time that I experienced neurocardiogenic syncope was when I was about 3 years old. I was diagnosed with a mast cell disorder and a plethora of linked conditions. And one of those is a vocal cord disorder that virtually took my ability to speak from me for 2 years. I've had intensive therapy, but public speaking is really difficult for me because when I do feel under pressure, it is very challenging for me to speak. And so there are a number of things that have been happening in my life with complex conditions long before my lipedema journey. It's a complicated puzzle, but I've been working very hard for many years to unravel that. Thriving with Lipedema is the pen name that I decided. I wanted to have a bit of an online presence. I am relatively private in that I don't even have a public Instagram because I don't have the internal resources to deal with the haters. And so I protect myself. I've never had a public persona other than my blog, which people do find occasionally, but I've had really good experiences keeping things quiet. But my purpose behind Thriving with Lipedema, which came almost immediately after my diagnosis, is great. I have a name for this thing now that I'm dealing with, and I'm not going to let it define me. I'm not going to let it hold me back. So I'm going to thrive. And so you will see any of my social media comes under that name. So I'm going to go into 13 of the strategies that have helped me in my journey. The first you're going to see is a resource that comes from the Lipedema Foundation, and it is what I consider my personal playlist for how I manage my condition. I don't do all of these things every day. This is very overwhelming. This is where all or something comes in. Every single day, I can't do all of these things, but I can do something. And so on any given day, I probably do 1 to 2 hours of conservative therapy to manage my condition. I've listed just a few of those that I think have made the most impact and have been the most beneficial to me in my journey. But I encourage you to go to, if you didn't grab one from our booth earlier this week, I encourage you to go to our website and get a copy of that. Some people might consider this overwhelming. I consider this a menu of, look how many things can help us feel better. And so I use this very regularly. My next advice is to embrace your compression is empowerment. It's a fashion statement. I wear my compression every day of my life. I love fun colors. I love styles. If Juzo is listening, you better bring back the animal print leggings. I've been begging for them for years. And so I try to incorporate them into my clothing. I'm actually wearing compression on the stage today because why not set an example of how you can actually use compression in business attire. My next big one, and this is definitely one of my Patty influences, is to move with joy and purpose. I don't like going to the gym. I feel very awkward at a gym. I'm exceedingly uncoordinated, and just the fact of trying to move equipment around and get the right parameters scares me. Patty taught me that you need to look for activities that nourish you and don't punish your body. And so I do things that I love to do, like gardening. Lifting 50-pound bags of soil and carrying them all over my yard is great. Bending and lifting to take care of my plants makes me feel fantastic, and it helps with my mental health as well. The Lipedema triathlon, which I think some of you have probably heard mentioned several times this week, has been a part of my life for several years. My sister Karen actually started doing it before I even realized what it was, and it was one of those things that I never, ever could have pictured myself doing a triathlon. Patty got me on a bike for the first time in probably 25 years. And it's also an activity that I can share with my own daughters, who in fact inherited my genetics, surprisingly. They're gonna deal with a lot of the same things that I deal with. And so having that opportunity to talk to them and share with them, these are the bodies that we've been given, and these are the things that make it feel better, has been immensely helpful for my entire family. My next advice is eating to thrive and not to survive. As you've probably heard over the last few days, there is no one size fits all. There is one size that fits your body, and only you know your body. I have found that limiting added sugar has made a tremendous difference in my life. I minimize processed foods because there are just so many additives and things that I'm sensitive to, and I listen to my body, and when I eat something and I feel like my body's not reacting well, think, okay, I'm not going to eat that anymore. So I do have to supplement very heavily, as many of us experience. Our bodies don't hold on to nutrients the way they are supposed to. And so I do supplement, and that has helped. And I do use GLP-1s, and in fact have been on GLP-1s since 2014. I will tell you, GLP-1s did not touch my body until I was diagnosed with lipedema and began my conservative treatment and changed the way that I was eating. And the results in the last 3 years have been phenomenal. And the last I will say here is savor treats mindfully. Life is not meant to be so restrictive that you can't enjoy life. I do enjoy an occasional drink out. I do enjoy an occasional dessert. And I don't beat myself up over it. I enjoy it, and I have fun with it, and then I go back to the way that I need to eat to feel well. And sometimes I accept I am not going to feel well eating this, and it was worth it. My team can probably tell you that was the case last night. Building a dream team. There's not a lipedema doctor. I mean, some of you are amazing lipedema doctors, but you actually need a team of specialists that care for your whole person. I don't know of any person with lipedema that just has lipedema. We all have complicated comorbidities. And so I've listed my care team here. There's probably a few that I've missed. I can tell you I use my health insurance, and I'm incredibly grateful for it. And I advocate for my own care. But you deserve clinicians that listen to you, that validate what you are experiencing, and that support you and advocate for you. And if they're not informed, that's okay. Educate them. There are so many tools out there to help you now. Again, I will mention Lipedema Foundation has a number of clinician resources. Every patient portal to every one of my doctors has copies of all of these documents. I walk in with a folder to every appointment. Here's your brochures, here's your clinician's guides. And some of them actually reach out and say, hey, I need more of those brochures. Can I get them? We always help them do that. Self-advocacy is your key to better care. You can't just expect that doctors will always know. You know your body, and so you have to advocate. Being a voice and catalyst for change means that the awareness has to start with you, and that goes further to that point. Here's one of many times of me going, I think that first picture was me going to my MLD therapist, Lori, who has been on this journey with me for 4 years. She is incredible, but I have taken these pamphlets and brochures and trained so many of my professionals, and I encourage you to do the same. I also encourage measuring more than just the number. The non-scale victories are every bit as important. Carol, when you mentioned the jelly shoes, I smiled so big. That is a non-scale victory. That is something you couldn't do before that you can do now. The statement in green was my functional capacity results 4 years ago when I was beginning to explore surgery. I had severe limitations and restrictions due to the condition of lipedema, which dramatically affected my mobility, my strength, my endurance, and my quality of life. I could barely walk up a flight of steps in my home 4 years ago. You all saw me on the dance floor last night. Mobility is no longer holding me back. I feel tremendously better 4 years later. The next is surgery. Surgery is a choice for managing lipedema. It is not a requirement. It is a very serious consideration and one that you cannot take lightly. And I completed 5 surgeries with Dr. Damon Cooney at Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore, Maryland. I worked harder for my insurance coverage with Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield than I worked on my capstone for my master's degree. It took me 1.5 years to finally get my first surgery. That 1.5 years gave me time to focus hard on conservative therapy prior to surgery and to manage my inflammation. And I believe that my healing was enhanced dramatically and my results were enhanced dramatically because I put into practice all the conservative therapies that are going to be needed for the rest of my life. I accepted surgery is not a quick fix. Surgery is not a healing or a cure for lipedema. It is simply a tool in the journey. And so you see a few of the results there. Not always comfortable just sharing photos of our bodies, but I think it is important to see the disproportion, particularly in just the way that I walk. My legs are shaped differently now. I have so much less knee pain and hip pain because my body is now proportional. Finding strength in the community. The LymphaPress roundtables that Brenda Viola has been the MC of for the last 4 years have been an integral part of my circle, as well as the amazing panelists and also all of the people that attend those and support me in chat. I can't tell you how many of you reached out to me this morning to encourage me, and you do not know how good that feels in my heart. I think dealing with the mental health aspect of this condition is every bit as important as the physical changes you make, and that sense of community is huge. Last night, I met my friend Michelle, who's down here in the audience. She found out a week ago that she has lipedema. She had never heard about it. And she sat at my table last night, and we had a moment to connect. And I told her about these roundtables and some of the support that is out there online. We have amazing, talented women in the lipedema community. You'll see me modeling a lot of the shirts from some of the awesome creators we have. Susan O'Hara, who could not be here, is a very dear friend of mine and one who has been a mentor for me for my entire journey. I could list so many others who have been part of this. But find the strength in the community. They are out there. I don't think ever in my life I belonged until I found this community. And now I belong, and I am so much better for it. Share your story however you feel comfortable. Not all of us are made to stand on a stage. Not all of us are made to do podcasts. Not all of us are made to write interviews. But there is a way to share your story and help others feel that they are not alone. I've had the opportunity to do a number of those things, and I'm grateful every time. Some of them are a little more uncomfortable for me than others, like standing on this stage, but I'm so grateful that I have the opportunity to do it. Turn your passion into purpose by volunteering your skills in the community. There are a million ways to get involved and help others. I've got pictures of just a few. Many of you in the room I've had the privilege of volunteering with, and it makes my heart so happy that I've been able to engage. I encourage you to find ways to do that. And then I don't do a ton of befores and afters because I know that they can be somewhat triggering. I actually don't have a lot of pictures of my befores, but I have lost 130 pounds over the last 5 years. It doesn't need to be clapped for. It's not a reflection of my worth. It's simply a fact that my body has changed. I've had a much bigger change right here than I've had in my body, and that has been worth every single bit of it. And the last that I, of course, will get emotional about, I had no idea that Brenda would tell you last night how I dreamed for several years that I would be working for Lipedema Foundation. I interviewed last year at FDRS, and I told barely a soul that I had a conversation with Lipedema Foundation. Brenda was one of them. Patty was one of them, and they encouraged me tremendously. If it's for you, it will happen for you. Jamie on my team encouraged me the same for so long, and I am so incredibly proud to be part of Lipedema Foundation. Getting to be part of the live research event has been one of the greatest professional accomplishments I've had in my entire life, and I love working for Lipedema Foundation and sharing the resources. I feel so passionate about them, as you can probably tell. And all of the women in these images, many of you who are sitting here today or in the virtual audience, have been part of my circle for 4 years, and I would not be here if it were not for every one of you. I've included my contact information here, so if you do have any questions, please do reach out. But thank you so much for your time today.